Zai. Welcome to Romania. Baruch Hashem, we've arrived. You guys have very well earned this trip. We have a message from our tour guide.
Berohim Habaim.
Nice. Thank you, Christy, for giving us a beautiful guide. We are on the way, Rabbi Sai, to Bulgaria, to the Heilige Pele Yoetz, which Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to be speaking about the Pele Yoetz. We're going to have a little bit of history to understand who was the Pele Yoetz, what did he represent, some of the Sforim that he wrote, and the scholars of davening by his keva. I implore of all of you to listen carefully. But before we get there, which we'll do before we get there, I want to give the Olam a little bit of history. Just for a couple of moments, just listen to understand where we are and what the Yidden went through in the place that we are at this moment, which is Romania. So the presence of Yidden in Romania dates back to Roman times, to the country where the province called Dacia. Small number of Yidden settled along the Black Sea during very many decades, and they were trading in a number of early Romanian port cities. It was not the end of the 14th century that a substantial number of Yidden arrived in the country. They were expelled from the Kingdom of Hungary. Now, although the Orthodox Church bitterly opposed any contact with Yidden, various local rulers actually encouraged Jews from Poland and other places to settle in the country. There were, however, as always, some tensions between the Yidden and the Goyim in the country, usually derived from economic competition. In 1579, in Moldavia, they ordered Yidden to be expelled on the count of them ruining the economy and the merchants, and because of that, Jewish communities actually continued to be established in towns throughout Romania. There were a large amount of Romanian Jews that were massacred during the Cossacks who invaded Romania in 1652 and 1653, and later Yidden suffered horribly during the Turkish War from 1769 to 1774. Yidden was subjected to restrictions, included being denied citizenship and being prohibited from settling in villages or leasing land. Romanian officials were actually given the right to expel Jews from the country if they were not found to be useful. Yidden participated in the 1848 revolt against the Russians, and many of them were executed as a result. Romania finally had independence from the Congress of Berlin in 1878, and once again required to grant Yidden living in the country full civil rights as a condition of this independence. Now, the situation for Jews in Romania worsened, as most Romanian Jews were actually considered foreigners and were prohibited from many professions in the country. Between 1898 and 1904, about 70,000 Jews left Romania in order to go to what was then Palestine and other countries such as the United States of America. Yeah. Anti-Semitism, as we'll discuss in a moment, was always a problem. In 2015, the president, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, and excuse me if I'm wrong, Klaus Iohannis. What? Iohannis signed legislation that made the Holocaust denial illegal and actually a punishable offense. So I just want to bring to your attention specifically two things about Romanian history and two of the Choshev Rabbonim that lived here in Romania and did a lot for Klal Yisrael. In fact, Ada Yom Hazeh. So Romania went through some difficult stages of control. Between 1939 and 1941, the Soviet Union actually controlled different parts of Romania. In 1941, the Romanian army actually collaborated together with the Nazis and invaded the Soviet Union in order to take back various parts of Romania. In fact, one of the things that's unknown, but many people don't know, is that the Malbim was a Rav in Bucharest in the 1800s. He was a Rav over here, the Heilige Malbim. Two Rabbonim I want to bring to your attention. One of the big Rabbonim that lived in Romania was Rav Yehuda Leib Tzivulson. Rav Yehuda Leib Tzivulson was a very, very Choshev Yid, a Boki B'chol HaTorah Kula, and he was actually one of the big Rabbonim under the Russian Jewry, under the Tsar. He lived in Masarabi, grew up in a Hasidic home, had a Chabad education, and he had something very unique, which was he was able to speak Russian, which was quite rare. And in fact, the Russians actually recognized him as a rabbi, which was very helpful for the Yidden, because he was able to go into the government and do many things for Klal Yisrael because he spoke Russian. Now, from 1908 until he died, which was only 33 years later, he was a Rav in Romania. And before World War I, it was actually the Russian Empire. After World War I, it was actually called Romania. In 1912, he helped form Agudas Yisrael of Romania. He did a tremendous amount for Klal Yisrael. He opened up a yeshiva in Kishinev, and he was actually served in the Romanian parliament as well. He did a tremendous amount for Klal Yisrael, which is amazing. Now, I want to bring to your attention another Rav, a Rav that did a lot for Klal Yisrael then, and we actually are gaining a lot of what he did. And that was Rav Moshe Yosef Rubin. Rav Moshe Yosef Rubin was a pre-Rav in Romania, eventually moved to America. He came from a Hasidic background of Belz, Kosov and Ropshitz. He grew up in Romania. They called him the Kupling Rav, which is a place in Romania. During the war in Bucharest, until he moved eventually to America, he became a Rav in Long Beach and then Borough Park, and then eventually in Montreal for a few years. He actually got very interested in the Sforim and the Torah of Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch. He dedicated his life actually to his Torah and to his philosophy, eventually translating a lot of what the Rav Shamshon Raphael Hirsch into Romanian. He went to a university in Cluj. He actually got a degree, which was also very, very interesting. He went on and he went to build tremendous amount of mikvoyas. He was a big fan, and he went around the country trying to get people involved in Taras HaMishpacha. He promoted Shmiras Shabbos. He was involved in Agudas Yisrael. He was on the Moetzes Gedolei Yisrael at the age of 30 years old, which is actually amazing. Now, the Romanian Holocaust, there were plenty, as we mentioned, there was plenty of anti-Semitism in Romania, but it was a relatively safe place actually from the Nazis. During the Holocaust, it was a safe place from deportation and death, of course. Don't get me wrong, there were outer borders that in Romania had their own place and their own situations over there, V'amevin Yovin. And there are many Jewish refugees that actually tried to get into old Romania. And some of the Rabbonim that we just mentioned, the two Rabbonim we mentioned, were tremendously instrumental in helping out to get many thousands of Yidden, including many Choshever Rebbes and Rabbonim, into Romania to save them from the Holocaust. For example, the Sadiger Rebbe, the Bahusha Rebbe, the Vizhnitzer Rebbe, the Imri Chaim, and the Bobover Rebbe, who escaped Poland and reached Romania. And Rav Rubin had a tremendous connection with the Bobover Rebbe, a very close relationship with him. He had a close relationship with many of the Rebbes, and specifically because he knew people in the government, he had the ability to allow Yidden to come in, and he saved many of their lives. Reb Shlomo of Bobov specifically actually lived in Rav Rubin's house here in Romania for a number of years, and Rav Rubin opened up actually probably could be the first yeshiva post-war in the entire Europe, possibly was in Bucharest. He opened it together with Reb Shlomo Bobov, because he was very, very close with him, called it the Mesivta, and when eventually Rav Rubin moved to America, he lived in Borough Park, so the Bobover Rebbe actually stayed by him. In 1950, he was in Borough Park. He was a much older person, tremendous posek, a gewaltige Talmid Chacham, and he decided to dedicate his life to cemeteries that were actually falling to pieces and people were, desecrating in a bad way. And he opened up an organization called Geder Ovois in order to protect cemeteries in Europe. And you should know that many of the Kvarim that we visit are because of the schos of this Rav. So, Lemaisa Rabbi Sai, we're in a Choshev place. We're in a place that many Choshev Rabbanim lived. Yidden lived here as well. In Mitzvah Shem, as we get closer to the Heilige Peleyoyetz, we'll speak more about the Peleyoyetz. Sit back and relax, Rabbi Sai. Have a wonderful journey.